Right then, here's the plan. Bold, audacious, brilliant. We're nicking a planet. Not just any planet, mind you. This one's special. Orbiting a star on its last legs, about to go supernova. It's a gamble, sure. But the potential payout, astronomical. This little beauty is teeming with rhydonium, the most powerful energy source in the galaxy. And it's all ours for the taking. Think of it, with that much rhydonium, we could buy a whole galaxy. Or 10. We'll be richer than those fat cats in the Galactic Federation. They'll be eating their monocles. The star was a fiery inferno, raging against its inevitable demise. It had been burning for billions of years, a colossal furnace of nuclear reactions. But now its fuel was nearly spent, and it was entering the final violent stages of its life. The once stable giant was now a ticking time bomb, ready to explode in a spectacular supernova. Each solar flare sent shockwaves rippling through space, a testament to the star's immense power. These flares were like the star's last desperate attempts to hold itself together, but they only hastened its end. The energy released was enough to disrupt the fabric of space-time itself, creating ripples that could be felt light years away, a cosmic death rattle echoing across the void. Time was ticking away. The star's core was collapsing, and soon it would implode, sending out a shockwave that would obliterate everything in its vicinity. The light from this final explosion would outshine entire galaxies, a brief but brilliant beacon in the vast darkness of space. I could almost hear it, the countdown to destruction. Each second brought us closer to the inevitable. The tension was palpable, and every member of the crew could feel it. We were racing against time, trying to complete our mission before the star's final curtain call. The planet we were after, a shimmering emerald jewel, orbited precariously close to the inferno. It was a rare find, a planet teeming with life in the most unlikely of places. The star's impending explosion threatened to wipe out all life on this fragile world, and we were its last hope. "Captain," came the gruff voice of my first mate, "sensors are going haywire." The instruments were struggling to cope with the intense radiation and gravitational distortions emanating from the dying star. Every alarm was blaring, and the crew was on edge, knowing that any mistake could be our last. "The star's about to blow." He wasn't wrong. The readings were off the charts, and the star's surface was becoming increasingly unstable. We had minutes, maybe seconds, before it all went up in a cataclysmic explosion. The urgency of the situation was clear, and we had to act fast. We had to move, and fast. The engines roared to life, and the ship shuddered as it prepared for a rapid departure. Every second counted, and the margin for error was non-existent. We were in a race against the clock, and the stakes couldn't be higher. "Fire up the star drive, Mr. Grug," I commanded, my voice steady despite the chaos around us. The star drive was our only chance of escaping the impending doom. It was a risky maneuver, but we had no other choice. The ship's systems hummed with energy as the star drive powered up, ready to propel us to safety. We're on a tight schedule. The countdown timer in the cockpit was a constant reminder of the limited time we had left. The crew moved with precision and urgency, each person knowing their role in this high-stakes operation. There was no room for error, and every action had to be perfect. I barked back, my hand hovering over the control panel. The weight of responsibility was heavy on my shoulders, but there was no time for hesitation. We had to succeed, not just for ourselves, but for the countless lives depending on us. The fate of an entire planet hung in the balance, and failure was not an option. The star drive roared to life, our ship, the Rusty Comet, bucking and groaning as we plunged into the maelstrom. It was a delicate dance, navigating through the chaotic debris field, dodging solar flares the size of moons. "Tractor beam locked on, Captain," yelled the navigator, his voice barely audible above the din. The planet, shrouded in the dying star's light, began to tremble, pulled from its celestial moorings. It was now or never. We had what we came for. "Punch it, Grug. Let's give these fireworks a wide berth," I shouted, my heart pounding in my chest. Deep within the heart of the stolen planet, an ancient presence stirred. For eons they had slumbered, these silent guardians, their life force intertwined with the very essence of their world. The elders called it the Great Sleep, a time of rejuvenation, a chance for their world to heal from the trials of existence. But this time, something was different. This time, their slumber had been disturbed. The vibrations, "They are not of our world," one of the elders rasped, his voice echoing through the chamber. His eyes, shimmering pools of liquid silver, snapped open wide with alarm. Section 5. The Awakening. As the stolen planet, now tethered to the rusty comet, hurtled through the vast emptiness of space, the alien inhabitants awoke. The once serene and peaceful world was now a chaotic and terrifying place. The comet's fiery tail illuminated the dark void, casting eerie shadows on the planet's surface. Panic spread like wildfire as they realized the terrible truth. Their eyes widened in horror and their hearts pounded with fear. The alien inhabitants, who had once lived in harmony, were now thrown into a state of utter confusion and dread. Their world, their once tranquil paradise, was no more. The lush landscapes and vibrant ecosystems had been reduced to desolation. The skies, once filled with the songs of exotic creatures, were now silent and foreboding. They were adrift, prisoners aboard their own celestial vessel, lost in the vastness of space. The sense of isolation was overwhelming, and the uncertainty of their fate gnawed at their very souls. At the mercy of unknown captors, they could only speculate about the intentions of those who had torn them from their home. Fear of the unknown loomed large, casting a shadow over their every thought. "They have stolen our home!" cried out one of the younger aliens, his voice echoing through the chaos. His words resonated with the collective despair of his people. The young alien's voice was laced with fear and fury, a potent mix of emotions that mirrored the sentiments of those around him. His eyes burned with a fierce determination to understand why this had happened. His voice laced with fear and fury, he continued to shout, "We must find out who did this to us!" The urgency in his tone was palpable, and it sparked a sense of purpose among the others. "They have ripped us from the very fabric of our existence!" he exclaimed, his voice breaking with sorrow. The weight of their loss was almost too much to bear, and the reality of their situation began to sink in. His words ignited a firestorm of rage in the hearts of his brethren. The once passive and peaceful aliens now found themselves united by a common cause. Their anger fueled a newfound resolve to reclaim their stolen home and seek justice for the wrongs they had suffered. Word reached my ears that our little heist hadn't gone unnoticed. The alarms blared through the space station, red lights flashing ominously. It was clear that our actions had stirred up quite the hornet's nest. The control room was a flurry of activity, with alert signals lighting up every console. Our crew, usually so composed, now wore expressions of concern. We had hoped to slip away quietly, but it seemed fate had other plans. Seems like the planet's rightful owners weren't too chuffed about their new lodgings. The alien landscape, once serene and untouched, was now a battleground. Our spaceship hovered near the planet, its engines humming with barely contained energy. The beauty of the alien planet was marred by the tension in the air. We had taken something precious, and they wanted it back. In fact, they were in hot pursuit. Alien spaceships, sleek and menacing, darted through the void, their intentions clear. The chase was on, and there was no turning back. Our ship's sensors picked up multiple bogies closing in fast. The starship battle that ensued was nothing short of spectacular, with laser beams and plasma bolts lighting up the darkness of space. Talk about ungrateful house guests. Our crew scrambled to their stations, the tension palpable. Space pirates, notorious for their ruthlessness, were among our pursuers. The interior of our spaceship was a hive of activity, with everyone preparing for the inevitable conflict. Orders were shouted, and the hum of the ship's engines grew louder. Captain Mr. Grugg's voice was tight with worry. "We've got company." His usually calm demeanor was replaced with a look of genuine concern. The crew members exchanged worried glances, knowing that this was no ordinary encounter. The cockpit was filled with the sounds of beeping consoles and urgent voices. "And they're not here for tea and biscuits." The weapons systems were activated, and the ship's defenses were brought online. This was going to be a fight for survival. The crew prepared for battle, their faces set with determination. We knew that the coming moments would test our mettle like never before. He pointed at the main view screen. The image displayed was unmistakable, a fleet of enemy ships closing in fast. The control room fell silent as everyone took in the gravity of the situation. The view screen flickered with the incoming data, showing the enemy ships' positions and trajectories. A fleet of sleek silver ships bristling with weapons was closing in fast. Their design was both beautiful and terrifying. a testament to their advanced technology. The enemy ships moved with precision, their weapons systems glowing ominously. It was clear that they meant business, and we were their primary target. Right then, a proper space chase. Our ship's engines roared to life, propelling us forward at breakneck speed. The stars blurred into streaks of light as we raced through the cosmos. The enemy ships were relentless, matching our every move. It was a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, with our lives hanging in the balance. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a tad thrilled. Despite the danger, there was a certain exhilaration in the chase. The adrenaline coursed through my veins, and I could see the same excitement mirrored in the faces of my crew. This was what we lived for, the thrill of the unknown, the rush of the chase. Time to show these grumpy gussets what the rusty comet could do. Our ship, though old and battered, had a few tricks up its sleeve. We executed daring maneuvers, dodging enemy fire with skill and precision. The rusty comet danced through space, proving that it still had plenty of fight left in it. This was our moment to shine, and we were ready to give it our all. The chase was on. It was a cosmic ballet of laser fire and near misses. The alien ships were relentless, their technology clearly superior to our cobbled-together rust bucket. But what they had in firepower, I made up for in cunning. Asteroid fields became my playgrounds, nebulas my hiding spots. I knew every trick in the book, every shortcut, every cosmic blind spot. "They're gaining on us, Captain," Grug shouted, his voice barely audible above the alarms blaring on the bridge. "Shields are at 10%. We needed a miracle, and I had just the one brewing." "Time for a gamble." Grug set course for the Scutum Centaurus arm, I commanded, my voice steady despite the knot of tension in my gut. "The black hole cluster." Grug's eye widened. "Are you daft, Captain? We'll be torn to shreds," he protested. "Exactly," I said, a slow grin spreading across my face. "They won't dare to follow." It was a risky move, navigating a minefield of gravitational anomalies. One wrong move and we'd be sucked into oblivion. But fortune favors the bold, or so they say. The alien ships, wary of the black holes, hesitated, their formation breaking. I seized the opportunity, pushing the rusty comet to its absolute limit, threading the needle between two monstrous gravitational wells. We emerged on the other side, battered and bruised, but victorious, or so I thought. A low, rumbling chuckle echoed through the ship. It was coming from the cargo hold. "I must say, Captain," a smooth, chillingly familiar voice drawled, "that was quite a ride. The planet's inhabitants weren't just along for the ride. They'd been playing me from the start."